But this is a story about a Chassid of the Rebbe, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, and the fourth Rebbe of Chabad. He passed away not that long ago, I think. He was in Siberia for 20 years. 20 years they put him in Siberia. His name was Rabbi Lazer Nanas. Rabbi Lazer Nanas. Anyway, there's a story. When World War I began, so there was tremendous carnage. A lot of people were killed, and it was so Chabad moved. They left the city of Lubavitch. Altogether, they were in the city of Lubavitch from the second Rebbe of Chabad until the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, which was like 102 years. That's the time they were actually in the city of Lubavitch. Okay, so they moved, and they went like further to the east and to the south, and they settled in a place which was called Rostov on Dan, on the Dan River, Rostov. Okay, there it was not far away from where a lot of Cossacks. Now the Cossacks, they were very loyal to the Tsar. They were very loyal to the Tsar, and they were, very fierce warriors, and they were loyal to it. And Stalin, may his name be blotted out for all time, he put into prison anybody who was loyal to the Tsar and anybody that he thought might make trouble for him and anybody that he wanted to, basically. They say he killed about 50 million people. However it is, so the Cossacks really hated the communists, and they hated Jews also. They were big anti-Semites. They were like Russian Orthodox, whatever it was. In any case, whatever religion they were big anti-Semites. In general, the Russians are anti-Semites. And in general, people are anti-Semites. What are you going to do? There's anti-Semitism almost everywhere. The Russians weren't as bad as the Ukrainians, but nevertheless they were. Okay. So here, right near, so one day, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, the Rebbe Rishab, he called into his office. They were living in Rostov. He called into his office this Rabbi Lazer Nanas, and he gave him a job, a mission. He gave him this folder, and in it was like money or something, whatever was in it. And he told him that he had to take this money to Petersburg. Petersburg was the capital in those days. Anyway, he had to take it to Petersburg. So he was very afraid, because on the trains, usually, the Cossacks would take over the trains. And they would take over the trains, and they would like terrorize everyone that was in it. And they were very cruel. And they would like get drunk, and sometimes they'd even throw people out the window of the train to shoot people. And there was nothing you could do against them. So he was very, very apprehensive. The Rebbe wanted him to take the train, in the morning. So, he said, but Rebbe, there's the Cossacks on the train. And the Rebbe said, don't worry about it. Ain't od milvad. There's nothing except for God. God will help you. So he said, okay. He had to get early next morning. So he went down to the ticket office to buy a ticket. And he decided what he's going to do is he'll buy a ticket on first class. It's Rabbi Nanas. He'll buy a ticket first class, because the Cossacks, they didn't have money, and they didn't want to be in first class. They had no need to be in first class. They used to get drunk and do all these crazy things. First class wasn't for them. So he bought a first class ticket just for, to be sure. And the Rebbe told him, before you get on the train, come to me. So he prayed early in the morning, or maybe didn't pray. In any case, he went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe told him not to worry, it'll be okay. And anyway, so now he had the blessing of the Rebbe in the nighttime and the daytime. And also he had the ticket. He had ticket first class. So he figured, that's his part. So he gets on the plane, on the train, first class seats, everything is plush, quiet. Sits down right in the front. And he takes out his tefillin and he starts to pray. All of a sudden he hears a tremendous noise. But he's just finishing praying, and the train is starting to move. Suddenly he hears a tremendous noise and screaming and yelling and laughing and this. the Cossacks kicked everybody out of first class, and they took it over, and somehow or other they didn't notice him. So the Cossacks came and they all started drinking and the punching each other and doing all sorts of laughing and joking, and they didn't notice him. They didn't. Amazingly, they just didn't notice him. So he sat there in the corner. He's thinking, the blessing of the Rebbe really worked, And he sat there the whole day, prayed. He went to sleep in the seat. Early in the morning, he woke up again, and put on his tefillin. And meanwhile, these Cossacks have been like the whole night just making ruckus and yelling and screaming and everything they could. So early in the morning, he puts on his tefillin and he's praying, and they're just sort of waking up, from their drunken stupor. And suddenly, one of them says, "Hey, look what's over there in the corner. Look at that. We have a nice duck, whatever it is, a goose, whatever. Look at that." And hey, it's a Jew, and they're poking him, and this is. So he figures that's it. That's it. I'm finished. And they're all sort of, half of them are all groggy, and they're waking up, and they're still drinking, taking a shot of vodka early in the morning, and eating the bread and everything. They're eating and they're drinking, and they're still waking up. So a couple of them start saying, "Hey, let's do target practice. Let's shoot this Jew." So I said, "Aha, that's a good idea. We'll get in the other end. We'll get far away. We'll shoot him." Okay, let's go in there. We'll load up their guns. 1, 2. All of a sudden, somebody yells up, "What are you guys nuts? You crazy? You're going to waste a bullet on the Jew?" So, no, what do you suggest? I suggest soon we're going to get up to the top. The railroad goes up to this top of like Peaky Hill. Well, let's throw him out the window and watch him roll down. They said, "Oh, this is a genius idea. Why didn't we think of this?" That's what we're going to do. So meanwhile, some of them are still waking up, and they're waking up everybody. "Come on, wake up. We don't want you to miss this." And they're yelling, "Ha, ha, ha," and they grab a hold of this poor fellow, this laser nanas. And somebody opens up the window, freezing cold outside. The wind blows in, and they're all laughing and laughing. And someone says, wait a minute. We're going to get up to the top of the hill. We'll watch them roll down. Suddenly, one old Cossack was there. A guy, he only has like one leg. He's on a crutch. And he crutches himself up, or he's crippled, whatever, and he pushes himself up. He says, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And they said, "Oh, we're so sorry we didn't wake you up. We neglected you. Please forgive us. We're going to throw this Jew out the window." So this fellow, he sort of washes his face off, and he takes another shot of vodka. He says, "What are you doing? What are you throwing this Jew out the window for?" It's a Jew. We're throwing the window. So this old Chassid, this old Cossack, he says, "Tell me, you fellows, you like the communists?" They said, "No, communists, we'll kill them all. We'll kill all the communists." He said, "Well, you should know that the communists hate us also." So, but you should know that more than the communists hate us, they hate these religious Jews. I said, "I know who these people are. They have this big grand rabbi over there. And the communists hate them more than they hate us. Now, if you throw them out the window, you're going to make the communists happy. You want that?" They said, "Oh, no, we don't want to make the communists happy." So I said, "So leave them alone. What do you care about? And leave them alone." And so they did. They let him alone. And he made it to Petersburg. I think that the journey from like Rostov to Petersburg is like 12 hours or a day. Long time. So they said that leave him alone. So they leave him alone. He does he did what he had to do in Petersburg. He takes the train back. The train back, nothing happened to him. He came to the Rebbe and he told him the whole story. And the Rebbe said, "That's what I said. When I said Ein Od Milvado, when I said about God that there's nothing except for him, I included the Cossacks in that also. The Cossacks are not anything separate from him." End of story. What's the point of the story? The point of the story is, first of all, if you're doing what the Rebbe says, then it'll be okay. And number two is that if you believe in the Creator, it helps a lot. in the Tanya, in the 24th chapter, it says that Daniel survived the lion's den was not because it wasn't a miracle. That lions naturally, according to their nature, are afraid and in awe of a human being. But what's a human being? Someone who was able to trust God and to, in this way, override or defy or even transform their natural worries and desires. Have a good day with Mashiach now.